What's going on, everybody? We're going to go ahead and get ready to get started in just a minute. I know a few people are waiting to get in and get this thing going. So we're definitely going to get the show started in just a moment. I do ask that everybody help share this show out. Go ahead and share it out to everybody. And, let everybody know that we are indeed live and getting going and trying to see if the Titans can stop this bleeding and can get it together and find a way to get a victory against the LA Chargers, or are the Titans headed on a road to a cataclysmic collapse? So that's the question that we're going to be asking. Hopefully everybody tunes in and make sure y'all share this show out to everybody. And we're definitely going to be getting ready to get started. Also, we're going to get into the Chargers a little bit, find out ways that the Titans can stop this bleeding and try to find a way to win this game and get themselves back in the, get themselves back right and be able to continue to not just have control of the AFC South, but be able to prepare themselves to make a run in the playoffs. So we're definitely going to do that. Again, make sure y'all share this show out, and we're going to get ready to get started. I'm sharing the show out as well to everybody. So we're definitely going to do that. I see other people are coming on in as well. Again, more of you are definitely going to start to trickle in as time goes on. So we're going to definitely get this show started in less than 60 seconds. Let's do it. What's going on, Titan Nation? What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Welcome into TNT tonight. I'm your host, Chris, a.k.a. Blue Enforcer, a.k.a. The Truth, and we're going to have a good episode for you on this evening. We may also have some Charger fans possibly coming in here as well to give their thoughts on this game, as well as the Titans get ready to take on the Los Angeles Chargers out on the West Coast. And as y'all saw on my on the cover, that's the question. Can the Tennessee Titans stop the bleeding? If you see the heart with the knife stabbed through it, that's what the Titans are facing right now. The Titans, they're bleeding right now. They are bleeding profusely, and the bleeding needs to stop. There needs to be some pressure or a bandage put on the spot of the bleeding to stop the bleeding. And that's what we're going to be discussing tonight. Can they stop the bleeding, or will the Titans, or could the Titans end up bleeding out and dying by week 18? Because that could very well happen. Is this season falling apart? Because right now, that is a very valid question to ask. So definitely make sure tune in. Definitely follow either on Facebook, Twitter, at Instagram. You can follow Facebook at the TNT Enforcers page, on Twitter at TNT Blue Enforcer, also on Instagram at Titan_in_truth. Definitely make sure y'all you follow those pages if you don't already. Also, this podcast, I'm gonna try to make sure I gotta do a better job of putting this out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. I will definitely put it out. And as everybody comes in, if you're coming in to watch the show, please hit the like button. Definitely help. You're helping me help you, so that way we can keep continuing to bring great content. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and definitely join the channel. I am about at about 1,200, close to 1,230 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 1,300, hopefully get to 1,500, and then make my way towards 2,000. But I need your help to do that. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please go ahead and do so. Definitely tell your friends about it. Anybody else that's a Titans fan that maybe doesn't know, they need to tune in too, so that they can get the best content all about the Tennessee Titans. Your best YouTube podcast in the world right here on Titans and Truth. So we're going to go ahead and get right into this. I see some of y'all are coming in. I know Rossi was giving me some love. Great thumbnail. Shout out to Titan Rossi and Titan Upload. I know they did a show last night, and was definitely pretty good. Definitely gave some thought to them on what I thought was going on and everything. So definitely check those guys out. And everything. So definitely got to work on that. Derek says this game determines if Vrabel stays or goes to me. Definitely got some comments there. Steven Crosio, tighten up. Will, what's happening, man? Not much. Just trying to, like talking about my team, even though they're playing horribly, we got to still, try to stick with them. Titan Overdrive, what's up, Truth? What's going on? AZ Mick, Isaiah Garris, how y'all doing? Burning Devil says, we got this. This is our bounce back game for sure. Let's punch him in the mouth, get our confidence back. Well, we're going to talk about it. We'll see if there's a chance that if that can happen. Work is cut out for us. I'm not going to lie to you, but we're definitely going to get into that. So to close the chapter on the Jaguars, who absolutely humiliated us, 36-22. We fall to 7-6, 3 losses in a row. We're not in good shape. We're not in good position at the very moment. I mean, we are still the magic number is 3 to clinch the division. So, I mean, there is still I think clinching the division is still highly probable, but there is still some work to be done. So we definitely got a lot of work to do, because right now we're not playing like a team that is heading towards the playoffs. We're playing like a team that's headed toward the offseason. And that's not a good feeling at all. And, the Titans need to definitely find ways to get it together and get better. And, Mike Vrabel had his press conference today, and from what I've been hearing, Mike Vrabel just sounds soft. And one thing that I think is going on, Mike Vrabel, with all of this going on with John Robinson and with the losses, he's trying to make himself look like the victim. That's what I think. He's basically trying to make it seem like, well, none of this is my fault. I'm doing everything I can. And yet, I wholeheartedly disagree. So we're definitely going to talk about that, but it just sounded like it was soft to me. Now, Kevin Byard, after the game, basically said, there are, he gave it real. He said, there are teams that at this time of year are really making a push, putting it together to make a run in the playoffs. And then there are other teams that are heading in the opposite direction, fading away. He says, right now we're not trending in the right direction. We're trending in the wrong direction. And that's very telling coming from one of the leaders who just seems to recognize right now we got a problem and it needs to be fixed. And the question is Mike Vrabel a good enough coach to fix the situation when we are this low? I don't think we've ever been this low in the Mike Vrabel era ever. And I was listening to Jared earlier, and it made me think. He said, I don't think Mike Vrabel's ever been in this position before. I don't know if he's going to be able to coach his way out of it because he's never been in this situation. And when he said that, that hit me a little bit. And it made me think, I don't know if Vrabel can coach his way out of this. And I know there's a lot of people that will say, we have a lot of injuries. We have a lot of injuries, as Isaiah said. We have a lot of key players out on defense, a few players out on offense. It's the injuries. And this is what I say to that. And I see we got Two-Tone Fett, Mr. Juan Delgado, Two-Tone Fett in the building. Glad I saw you on Sunday, by the way. He says he seems like Vrabel might be losing the locker room. And then Juan is like, his ego. And we're going to get into that. Because, like I said last night, this loss and these last couple of losses are all on Mike Vrabel. And everybody wants to blame, everybody wants to blame John Robinson, and everything. And I mean, don't get me wrong, John Robinson deserves to blame. He did, screw up in a couple of drafts. But Mike Vrabel's the head coach. And clearly, this team going into this game against the Jaguars was clearly distracted. And as the head coach of the football team, your job is to get these players ready to play amid the distraction, to block it out. To block it out and get ready to play some ball. And he's not doing a very good job of that. And again, I go back to the injuries. Injuries are excuses. That's an excuse. I don't want to, I hear people talk about, well, they're just too banged up. They're too hurt. They've used over 80 players. Once again, they're leading the league in most used players in injuries. And I'm thinking to myself, didn't we have this problem last year? Didn't we have an injury problem last year? And we still got the number 1 seed? So if we did it last year, how come we're not doing it this year? So I don't want to hear the whole injuries being an excuse. Yes, it could be a little bit of a reason, especially with some key players down. But don't use that as an excuse. And I was listening to Locked On Titans with Tyler Rowland. Hopefully somebody I can get on the show. And that is, he said, you know what really needs to be done? And I really want to find this out. I'm going to try to see if I can text one of my contacts and try to find out who is overhiring the medical staff. Because maybe that's an issue. It's the medical staff. Maybe, the medical staff really needs to be reevaluated as well, because for the second straight year, we are having a lot of injuries. And it's crazy that we're having this, yet maybe we haven't checked. We haven't checked about the medical staff, maybe strength and conditioning. Because when Steve Watterson was the strength and conditioning coach, I mean, guys got hurt, of course. Everybody gets hurt. But you never heard of an injury list being so yay long as we are hearing right now. So I think he was on to something. The medical team needs to be seriously evaluated. So that's something that they really need to look at and everything. So, and it just makes me wonder, can Mike Vrabel coach us through this? Can Mike Vrabel actually get us through this? And right now, I am seriously having my doubts. I'm starting to have my doubts. We've lost 3 in a row. Well, we thought a few weeks ago this division was all but wrapped up. But now, the division and the playoffs, there's a bit of doubt creeping in. And I just don't know if Mike Vrabel is the guy that can get us through. Because I think maybe we've reached our ceiling. Amy Adams Strong's made it clear. Just winning the division, just getting to the playoffs is not good enough anymore. She wants Super Bowl. And dagrabbit, so do I. As fans, we should expect more. We should have higher expectations. Maybe at times we should temper them. But I mean, we've won the division 2 in a row and have been knocked out in the first game 2 years in a row. We should expect to not only win the division, but try to win a playoff game or 2. I mean, let me ask y'all, am I asking for too much? Am I demanding too much? I don't think I am. You should demand the highest of the team. You should want more, expect more. And right now, this team is not giving it to us. And I heard something on the Buck Riley show, and I'm going to get to some of y'all comments in a minute. Is that I heard on the Buck Riley show somebody basically make a comment saying, well, if you're critical of the team, you're not a real fan. If you are being critical of the team, you're not a real fan. And this is exactly what I say to that comment. Columbia River, shut the hell up. Because you don't know what you're talking about. The fact of the matter is, yes, as a fan of a team, you're supposed to always try to believe in your team. You're supposed to always try to be positive about the team. At the same time, if you see that your team is sucking or your team is not very good, it is okay to be critical of them. It is okay to say, you know what? This team is not playing very well. It's okay to say, you know what? My quarterback needs to quit turning the ball over. My running back needs to quit fumbling the ball. The defense has no pass rush right now. Our coach is complacent. Right now, the Titans stink at the moment. I am a fan. I love this team. I have loved this team for over 26 years of my life, almost 27 years of my life. I've been doing this podcast for over 6 years. But I've always told everybody on here that I was going to tell the truth. Now, in telling the truth, There are times you may agree with me. There are times you're going to disagree with me. There are going to be times I disagree with some of you. And you know what? That's okay. That's what this show is about. That's what this show is all about. We communicate with each other. I'm about to see some of y'all comments in just a moment. So, to say you're not a real fan, just because you are critical of the team that you love and you want them to do better, I think it's a bunch of BS. And whoever said that needs to just go shut their pie hole and go crawl back from the rock that they were under. Plain and simple. I'm going to read some of the earlier comments, but this one was funny. Tyson said, wow, you've been a fan of the team longer than I've been alive. Hey, I've been a fan of this team ever since I was 12 years old. I'm 39 years old. Seen one Super Bowl. And I think I was about 16, about to be 17. So I'm 39 years old. Landon says, yeah, that's what's so heartbreaking for some of us. We want this team to be so good, but yet we get let down every time. I mean, exactly. And it seems like we've been like that for really the last 20 years. It's like, you know, they build us up just to tear us down. So, you know, with Mike Vrabel, that's the problem I have. I don't know if his ego is going to allow him to change. Remember, yesterday, and I'm going to play the clip for some of you because I'm going to continue to share the show out because I know sometimes some people are late. I want to play out the clip because remember, he said, we're at a crossroads. And I'm trying to find that clip of mine. That I had, the one that I played yesterday with the coaches. So I'm trying to find it. I know I got it right here somewhere. But y'all give me just a second. But I mean, here it is. Got it. This was Mike Vrabel on the Mike Vrabel show Monday night.
Another Twitter question. You've said in a recent press conference that you're open to the idea of things that need to be made in terms to improve the team. So where are you currently in the idea of organization changes, coaching changes?
We're not going to make any coaching changes during the season. You know, those are things that I evaluate at the end of the season. You know, I see what's being taught. You know, I have the luxury of going into each and every room. I hear what's being coached. I hear the details. I hear the design of each and every play. So that's not something that, I'm going to be doing right now. But again, we'll evaluate everything at the end of the season, and go from there.
So that was Mike Vrabel on the Mike Vrabel show Monday night, talking about not making any coaching changes. And that's arrogance. That's ego. Because Vrabel thinks everything is just fine. That, nothing needs to be changed. Nothing needs to be done. And C-Dub says, Amy Adams firing our GM before the season is over sent a clear message to the locker room and the fan base. The ownership doesn't believe we can win a championship. Wrong move, in my opinion. C-Dub, I have to disagree with you. I don't think it's the fact. She never once said, I do not believe in this team. She never said that. But I think the message that she's sending is she wants to win Super Bowls. She wants to win playoff games, and right now this team is not good enough to win a Super Bowl. So pretty much, I guess I am agreeing with you. She's never said, I've lost faith in the team. She's just saying that this team, the way that the way it was constructed, the way that it's going down, the way that they're playing, or the way they're being coached, is not good enough to win the Super Bowl. She wants championships. And damn it, so do I. It's not the injuries. We got to be objective. Look like a 4-win team. Exactly. Now, Clay says he feels Vrabel can get through and Vrabel isn't going anywhere. Not so fast, my friend. I would say that Vrabel is not as safe as he thinks he is. You know, Vrabel's been playing, again, Vrabel's been kind of acting like he's the victim in all of this. Like he's innocent or blameless in all of this. And that's where I beg to differ. I think Vrabel does deserve quite a bit of blame. Because, you know, maybe Vrabel doesn't go anywhere. And I called into a show today on Chase Willie and D Mace, and I said, if Amy Adams Strunk hires from within with Ryan Cowden or Monty Ossenfort, then Mike Vrabel isn't going anywhere, because essentially Mike Vrabel is going to be running everything. And that is very, very dangerous. Now, if Amy Adams Strunk seriously interviews other candidates from other teams, let's say from Kansas City, Buffalo, Minnesota, Baltimore, I'm trying to think it's a good team to have decent front offices. Teams like that. And out of all of that, you know, she comes back and says, you know what? Out of all of those candidates, I think Ryan Cowden or Monty Ossenfort, they really are the best person for the job. Like, they interviewed the best. If that's the case, then okay. But I'm like, don't just do no rinky-dink. You interview Ryan Cowden, you interview Monty Ossenfort, you interview a minority candidate, and that's it. You go with one of those three. I hope she doesn't do that. I hope she has at least, 5 to 6 interviews or something. Really evaluate. Alex says Vrabel is not turning the ball over. Turn the ball over sometimes about focus. And right now, this team is not focused. Right now, they were not playing focused. O-line is the key. Sunday Chargers have a bad run defense. I have seen that. Injuries are bad, but it's not an excuse. And I really do think that the medical staff needs to be evaluated. And see what I'm saying? Playing without four defensive starters out. Again, we did well last year. Steven says Mike Vrabel, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, C-Dub, I said this last night. Amy Adams Strunk does deserve a little blame because she did like the match. She did like the match. So we can't say it was all, we can't say Amy Adams doesn't deserve blame. So I agree. Amy Adams does deserve some blame. But the fact of the matter is, John Robinson ran his course. Hated for him, and like I said, it's like a joke with Chris Rock. He was saying this about O.J. Simpson with his wife and Ron Goldman when they were murdered. When Chris Rock said, I wouldn't have killed her, but I understand. Basically the same thing here. So I'm like basically saying, I ain't saying I would have fired John Robinson at the time, but I understand. I understand. So, you know, Alex says, being critical means you're passionate. I love this team. I love this team. And, you know, I want us to be feared, not laughed at. I mean, you know, it's basically that age-old question. Would you rather be feared or respected? And like Tony Stark said in Iron Man, is it wrong to want a little bit of both? What's up, Sam? Welcome in. Landon says, I'm sick of Vrabel, to be honest. I can only hear it. I can only hear it's everyone else's fault so many times. And that's basically what he's doing. Isaiah said, need to give it the times the passing league. Yeah, it's good to run the ball in cold weather, but it's a passing league. And, you know, we are family. That's what we are. But it is okay to be critical. So the fact of the matter is this. The Tennessee Titans have a choice to make. Are they going to cower and cry and take their ball and go home? Or are they going to get their act together, stop crying over spilled milk, or as Jennifer Lewis said in Joanna Man, stop crying over spilled milk and go find yourself a paper towel and clean this mess up? And that's what the Titans need to do. They need to clean up this mess. Because right now they are bleeding. They are bleeding profusely. And so that's the question I have for all of y'all right now. Can the Tennessee Titans stop the bleeding? Or are they going to bleed out? And while y'all are answering that question, obviously some good news came out is that Danico Autry did return to practice in a limited role. So him at least practicing is a very good thing. Not saying he'll play. Of course, if he does, that'd be huge. And Zach Cunningham has been designated to return off of IR. So, again, that's some good news. But the question is, can the Titans stop the bleeding, or are they going to bleed out? That's the question I got for all of y'all tonight. And again, I'll try to get some of y'all comments because we finna get ready to talk about this game coming up. Now, DBS has been a firm Vrabel believer. Can get us to the Super Bowl where we need more talent. Well, right now we're not getting any more talent. Rob says she deserves 25% of the blame for not being more invested and in the loop. Now, Derek, I will say 25% is correct, but I would not say she wasn't invested or not in the loop. She's very much invested. She's extremely invested. That's why she fired John Robinson. She's extremely invested in this team. I mean, instead of what Bud Adams was doing, being an absentee owner, staying in Texas while the team is here, Amy moved here, bought a house here. She's poured a lot of her own money into fixing the facility and basically rebuilding St. Thomas Sports Park. And is now a part of the group that's trying to put together $700 million to $1 billion to help get this new stadium, which right now with us losing 3 in a row could be a problem, and Metro government could see that as a way to hold off the vote. So I feel like this. Can they stop the bleeding, or do they bleed out? And I know there are some comments that I haven't gotten to, and I definitely apologize. And I mean, yes, John Robinson could definitely get another GM job somewhere. I mean, I think John Robinson did a good job, maybe not a great job, but he did do some things. Now, the one issue I had with Amy was that she did extend John Robinson and Mike Vrabel back in February, and then only to fire him. So we got to pay him for 4 more years. But that's her money. And she's willing to eat it. So can the Titans stop the bleeding or bleed out? And we'll try to see how they can do that. Steven says, obviously bleed out. Titans Rossi, what's going on, my man? Landon says, I doubt they can. Might win 1, maybe 2 more games at best. Right now, 2 more games could do it. Volcano says bleed out. AZ Mix says bleed out. C-Dub says bleed out. Ooh-wee. C-Dub says, mark my words, as the Titans reach the playoffs with the O-line that started the last 2 weeks, they are not going anywhere. You can't win the playoffs with the whole left side. I said it for the last couple of weeks. I think the Titans are 1 and done. Ty Ross said, if we get Autry and Burks back this week, we got a shot. Autry has a shot at playing. Burks, if he doesn't practice tomorrow, I don't see Burks playing. Clay says South champs, but I think that's as far as we're going. Burning Devil says we run the South. Well, right now that's kind of been put in doubt thanks to the Jags. DBS says bleed out. I think it's best to choke the division of Jacksonville. Hope we get a legit first-round pick since J-Rob is gone. Now, they're saying that she didn't know about the AJ trade. She says she didn't know about the AJ trade. I don't know how much I believe that, because when everything was going down, she was in the room. When that AJ trade went down in that war room, who was right there? Mike Vrabel, John Robinson, Amy Adams Strunk. She was in the room with them. So to kind of say she didn't know about it, I mean, it's different if she didn't know that the deal had been put in the works and she just found out on draft night. Maybe that's what it is. But I guess she's talking about the process of the whole trade she didn't know about. I guess she didn't find that out until draft night. Clay says, but 1 and done in the playoffs, but at least Jacksonville and Indy will be on the couch. I mean, that's not good enough. I want more than that, but I don't think it's happening. Now, Titans Rossi saying John Robinson is not getting paid. Can you clarify that for me, Titan Rossi? I know you got a source. I need some clarification. Help me out. If we're not careful, we will become the Texans. And that's why I said, if Amy hires in-house with Cowden or Ossenfort and Vrabel is still here, that is what I'm afraid of. Because I'm afraid Vrabel's going to be like Bill O'Brien. He's going to think, can't nobody tell me nothing. We know Vrabel is arrogant. He's an egomaniac. He thinks he knows it all. But if Amy hires from the outside, this general manager could come in and say to Vrabel, hey, Mike, you've done a great job, but you need to get rid of your offensive coordinator, your O-line coach, strength and conditioning, maybe your special teams coordinator, maybe your defensive backs coach. And if he says anything but, yes, sir, Mike, you need to go clean out your office. You've been relieved of duty. That's what I would hope a new general manager would do. So, and I know Chris Frazier love AJ. She said she was in the room. Yeah, she was in the room. Let's see. John Robinson withheld the fact that he never offered more than $16 million. That's why he got fired at the end of the day. And I mean, yeah, because I remember Titus Rossi did a show, and he said his source, they was like, yeah, I believe it was Titus for Life who said that he was authorized to offer $22 million with about $5 to $7 million in incentives. So that could have went up to $27 to $29 million to re-sign AJ. Or you could have went $25 million with $2 million in incentives. So they were he was given the go-ahead to re-sign AJ Brown, and John Robinson did not. And John Robinson did not. And if Mike Vrabel is as big of a dog as he said he was, why didn't he stop the trade? He didn't stop anything. So, and Derek Robinson says John Robinson and all coaching staff salaries are guaranteed. But Titus Rossi basically saying the extension, and again, I'm going to check with Rossi, and I'm going to check with Rossi about this, but normally his source, has been pretty good. I can't, I can't disclose who his source is because, out of respect for him. But Titus Rossi, I will try to get him on maybe within the next week, and we can kind of maybe get some clarification if he's able to do so. So Titus Rossi, let's chat that up. If we want to come on next week or during the post game at some point, and of course, I'll be live at El Toro Loco this Sunday for the game, so we could definitely get some clarification. But he's saying that the extension is basically null and void because it hadn't started. And said because of the accident, I just received the news. Can't disclose what the actions were. Unfortunately, that's no crap. So, I mean, very interesting. Alex Van said, who would you like for GM? I would say somebody outside of the organization. I believe there's an assistant GM in Kansas City that I wouldn't mind. There's an assistant GM in and I just had the article that had some possible candidates. Okay. I had an article with some external candidates, and there are a few. One would be Mike Borgonzi, assistant GM for the Kansas City Chiefs. Wouldn't mind him because you know what? Either him or either Ryan Poles, executive director of player personnel, or Chris Shea, vice president of football operations. Maybe somebody like that. Maybe somebody from the 49ers. Definitely a couple of people like that could definitely be a possibility because I've forgotten about the 49ers. So we're going to see. But like I said, Titus Rossi, his source has been pretty good. So I trust Titus Rossi. As a friend and as a colleague, I trust him. But a lot of y'all said that they would bleed out. He said, let's do it. So, yeah, we'll definitely do that. So, and there's another name, Louis Riddick. I have heard that name before. So I wouldn't mind that. Let's see. The GM maybe not in name will be Braves. This is his team for the next year. Player personnel wise, he will have a final say. And I hope that's not the case. I don't want Vrabel to have final say. Because again, he's so arrogant. All he'll want is blocking wide receivers, tight ends like Jeff Swain, who won't catch the ball, but will try to run it down their throats 40, 50 times a game, and it won't work. So we definitely will see about that. Clay says Vince McMahon. No. But again, Todd Downing will not get fired until Mike Vrabel is gone. That's what I think. And right now, I hope they stop the bleeding, but I'm scared they won't. And I think they do have a very good chance of bleeding out. And Mike Vrabel would be solely at fault because it's on him now. It's on him now. This is for you, Derek.
You know it's the Mac militant. Coming to get it on. I'm coming to thunder and lightning. Striking out the flame, you want the storm. Feel the pain that I try to contain. My heart is black and the blood in my veins, and I'm coming to get it on. Hey, yo, I break and smash and straight with back. I can see the fear in your eyes every time that I pass. I'm intimidating emotions.
I had to do that for Derek. He mentioned Teddy Long for GM. I had to do that. I had to do that for Derek right there. But Elite's right. Exactly. Vrabel will not fire Downing. And I mean, like Crosio said earlier, he is Mike Mularkey 2.0. He is doing the exact same thing. He will not get rid of his guy. He is willing to die on a hill for Todd Downing. Tremaine says, who would be your first round pick in the draft? Left tackle or wide receiver? That is a damn good question. I will probably look at best player available. I mean, if there's a good left tackle there, and I will definitely be doing some work on that in the offseason, I will probably look at wide receiver because I think that will probably be the better position that's available. You know, for example, I would definitely take a look at, say, Jordan Addison out of USC. I would definitely take a look at, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, he's good, but he hasn't played all year. And his love for football might be questioned. And then there's Jalen Hyatt, who just declared for the NFL draft. Now, Cedric Tillman of the Vols as well as declared for the NFL draft, but I don't think he would be as high as Jalen Hyatt. Like, Jalen Hyatt could go in the first round. Hyatt or Addison, I would love either one of those two guys. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is a good player, but I don't know if he loves football. Because he's been out with a hamstring injury all year. And actually, Jackson Smith and Jigba in Todd McShay's first draft selected Jackson Smith and Jigba. And he basically said, Quote, only the Bears and Ravens have fewer wide receiving yards than the Titans. First-round rookie Treylon Burks has just 25 catches and hasn't stayed healthy. Worse, Tennessee has watched A.J. Brown dominate in Philly after they traded his star receiver on draft night. Offensive line and edge spots should also be addressed too, but receiver has to be fixed. Agreed. And, he's only played 5 games. Has 5 catches, 43 yards on the year, been dealing with a hamstring all year. And so I don't know. And I hope that ultimatum is given. So I'm not very sure. I agree with that. I would never jeopardize my head coaching position for a friend who stinks. I agree. Because if any of us was doing our jobs and we stunk, we'd be fired. So that's what it is. But I'm going to quickly go through the two-tone blue star of the game. I think they might bleed out too. I hope they don't. Because I think they still win the division, but it's going to be one and done. So I think they bleed out in the playoffs. The two-tone blue star of the game, we're not even going to waste much time because there's not really too many options to go with. I would say the two-tone blue star of the game is, let's get chiggy with it, Chig Okonkwo. It's the two-tone blue star of the game. I mean, it's really no other choice. It's pretty much no other possibility than Chig Okonkwo. And Elise says, we need to go to the stadium and protest to firing Downing. Here's the thing. A lot of fans were chanting, fire Todd Downing during the game. And there was a chorus of boos, too. Like, there's a picture of a guy, he was holding his cell phone up, and it said, fire Todd Downing on the phone. Literally. So, the two-tone blue star of the game, Chig Okonkwo. Now, this question gets a little bit more difficult. Who is the dunce of the day? Because there's quite a few options. You could say, I can't even believe I'm putting this on there, Derrick Henry for a couple of fumbles. You could say Tannehill for the interception. The dud, giving up 4 more pressures and 2 more sacks. Dennis Daly is like 10th in most pressures given up. He's given up 40 pressures. And he has given up 11 sacks. Let that sink in. 11 sacks given up by Dennis Daly alone. By himself. The Titans have only given up 35 sacks. Tannehill's been sacked 29 times. Malik was sacked 6 times. So they've given up 35 sacks as a team. Dennis the Dud Daly has given up 33% of those sacks by himself. 33%. That means the rest of the line combined 66%. So that's about the other 4 linemen. And I'm looking at the calculator. 66%. It's about 16.5% per person. Dennis Daly has given up double the percentage of sacks than anybody else on the offensive line. The average is about 16.5. Dennis the Dud Daly, 33%. by himself. That's terrible. And like BLVG 901, hit that like button, y'all. Could be the next Travis Kelce. I would like that. Y'all make sure y'all smash that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. So let's see. C-Dub said they'll fire down at the end of the year. They don't want to cause any more damage. Fire the GM and OC mid-season sends a bad message. But here's the problem. Vrabel won't do it. Vrabel is too stubborn to do it. And I've already turned against Mike Vrabel. I would chant fire Vrabel too. Because I don't think it's going to be long before that happens. Derek Rob says, dunks of the day, the entire offense except Chiggy. C-Dub says, I blame Henry for one fumble. The other was on Ben Jones. BLVG, I'm not sure what you're saying on that one. You got to clarify it for me. Overdrive says, it's pure insanity to just keep starting daily. And that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I get mad at Vrabel sometimes. He's so stubborn. He thinks he knows it all. Daly needs to get the heck off the field. I agree. So I would say my dunce of the day is Mike Vrabel. Because Mike Vrabel did not have this team ready to play for this game. He did not have them ready. And they stuck it up on the field because of that. So, Mike Vrabel is the dunce of the day. So, tell you the truth, we go TNT tonight, we're going to keep going. And now we're going to get into this game against the Los Angeles Chargers. And I have to be honest, I do not have a good feeling about this game. 3:25 kickoff, so we will be going live around 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock Central Time. This is going to be a tough game because the Chargers just picked up a win over the Miami Dolphins. They're at 7-6. They're trying to make their push to the playoffs as well. And so, how can we beat the Chargers? What can we do? And so I know a lot of people will say, well, it should be Downing. But who's the guy that hired him and who's the guy that won't fire him? Vrabel. That's why I put it on him. And C-Dub says, we're going to lose our best GM and head coach we've ever had. Here's the thing. If Mike Vrabel gets fired, he only has himself to blame. Because he could have gotten rid of Todd Downing a long time ago, and he didn't. And Derek Rob said, don't disrespect Fisher taking us to a Super Bowl. But also, I'm not going to forget about Bum Phillips either, because he was very popular. He was very popular. And so, you know, we got our work cut out for us. And so, what would be the Blue Enforcer 4 points to victory? How do we get a win against the Los Angeles Chargers? And first, I'm going to give y'all the injury report. And as you can see, Danico Autry returned to practice on a limited basis. Trey Avery, Nate Davis, Amani Hooker, Big Jeff, Hassan Haskins full go today. So all those guys practiced. But Robert Woods, due to an illness, but I think he'll probably be back in 24 to 48 hours. We know Dontrell Hilliard is already out for this upcoming game. Fulton and Burks did not practice either. But I think tomorrow is going to be telling if Fulton or Burks have any chance to play. On the Chargers side, there's a couple of names. There's a name you might want to be careful of. Derwin James with a quad injury. They said they're going to be patient with Derwin James when it comes to that quad injury. So they could be without Derwin James, who's one of the better safeties in the league. But also, there's no update from Coach Staley. There is no update on Joey Bosa. They have not brought Bosa back yet. So Joey Bosa could be out for this game, although Khalil Mack is still on one side as well. So yeah, our injury list is long compared to them. And see, yes, I told y'all, this is history repeating itself all over again. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And that is exactly what's happening. Vrabel has not learned from what happened with Mike Mularkey, and he is doing the exact same thing. And it is going to get him fired. So, how do the Titans beat the Chargers? Number one, first of all, pray for Dennis Dudley. Because unfortunately, they're going to stay insane and just keep rolling them out there. They won't give LaRaven Clark or Dylan Radis a chance in hell. I don't know if Dennis Daly has, something on them or anything like that, but pray for Dennis Dudley. And maybe the best defense is a good offense. They need to sustain drives and score. They got to do everything they can to keep Justin Herbert off the field as long as possible. Keon Maxwell says, bench Daly. Unfortunately, Vrabel is too stubborn to do that. Cookie says, I hope we can get a win. I hope so too. Blast TV says, defense actually played 2 more games in the offense. Yeah, because they've been out there so long. Robert Woods is out with an illness, but I'm pretty sure he'll come back in another day or so. So he's just not feeling well at the moment. So they got to try to sustain drives and keep Justin Herbert off the field as long as possible. Number 2, as a team, we need to take care of the football. Derrick Henry in particular. He's fumbled 3 times. He's fumbled 3 times in the last 3 games. 2 against the Jaguars, 1 against the Bengals. You have got to hold on to the football and take good care of it. Tannehill cannot throw stupid interceptions like he did against the Jags. That will cost your team games. Now, for the most part, Tannehill has done a pretty good job taking care of the ball. He's only thrown 5 interceptions. But those tend to be costly. So, Burning Devil said, wish we could have kept Foreman. Foreman would have been nice to have. Number 3, and this is on the defensive side. Defense might as well prepare for an air raid. But can the secondary help the pass rush? Because if Justin Herbert holds on to the ball a little too long, we could get there and sack him. Maybe some coverage sacks could help. And that's something that we're going to have to do. Coverage sacks. Maybe could get to Justin Herbert. The offensive line, not as great. So, you know, in the last game, in Justin Herbert's last game against the Miami Dolphins, he's already thrown for 3,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, 7 picks. He threw the ball 51 times against the Miami Dolphins. 39 of 51, 367 against the Miami Dolphins in a loss. I mean, in a win. In his last 3 games, he's thrown the ball over 47 times. I have a bad feeling he's going to throw more than 51 times. He might throw it about 60 times. He's going to throw the ball a whole lot. So, you know, it's going to be an air raid. It's going to be an air raid. That much is a fact. And then last but not least, somehow, and again, I think the secondary can help the pass rush this time. They've got to be able to get some pressure. Cover sacks can help, because if Herbert gets the ball out within 2 seconds, we're in trouble. If Herbert's holding on to the ball for about 3 seconds, we got a chance to get to him. And number 4, they need to believe in themselves. Right now, you can tell the Titans have lost a lot of confidence in themselves. They've lost a lot of confidence in themselves, and they need to get it back. They need to get that Titans swagger back, that Nashville nasty swagger that I know they have. The only problem is I don't know if they're going to be able to get it. Because Vrabel, again, like I said earlier, this is as low as a Mike Vrabel team has been. And the question is, can they get themselves out of it? Can they get themselves out of this rut? Can they quit feeling sorry for themselves and get it together? And I love how a lot of people think that McMath is going to be the savior. Not exactly. Burks, I hope he gets back on the field. Yeah, every team knows they can't run the ball on us, so pass the ball everywhere. That's what they're going to probably try to do. I mean, Tannehill could use some better receivers, but there's not much we can do about that. So they need confidence. So again, the 4 points to victory. Try to sustain drives. The best defense is a good offense. Keep Justin Herbert off the field. And also remember, the Chargers got weapons. Keep Justin Herbert off the field. Take care of the football. No turnovers. They have been costly. The Jags scored 20 points off of 4 turnovers. That's why they won the game. Might as well prepare for an air raid party. And we know Austin Eckler is dangerous running the ball, but he's also dangerous catching the ball. He's ran for 623 yards. He's ran for 623 yards on the ground. He's also caught for 623 yards. He's third on the team in receiving. Austin Eckler has 8 touchdowns on the ground, but he also has touchdowns in the air as well. He has 93 catches, 623 yards, 5 touchdowns in the air. Has 8 touchdowns on the ground. So he has 13 touchdowns, well over 1,200 all-purpose yards. Austin Eckler is a dangerous weapon. Mike Williams is another. And this, I'm going to take out back in time to when I was evaluating. This is what I said about Mike Williams before the draft back in 2017.
Wide receiver. And let me tell you about Corey Davis. I've said this a lot in posts in Facebook as well as here. Mike Williams is like, if you think of women in relationships, and I know this is kind of crazy, so forgive me for that. Mike Williams is the type of person that I fall in love with. Perfect, would be great on this team. Be like, you know what? I'm ready to make that pick right now. Put a ring on it, make it official, make a commitment. Corey Davis is the type that I go out with for.
So, that was what I said about Mike Williams before. Here's another clip.
Number 1/1A would be Mike Williams, the wide receiver out of Clemson. And I've been pretty much on the Mike Williams train really ever since the halfway point of the college season. I'm just impressed with him. I really think he would be the perfect Titan wide receiver that we need. And here's some reasons why. Some pros that I had. Great hands. Catches pretty much anything that comes his way that is not severely overthrown or severely underthrown. He just catches everything. And he has a very high catch radius. He is not afraid to go across the middle at all. He ain't afraid to take any shots. Extremely physical. And another thing that he does very well, he can catch the ball at the highest point. Watch some games with him against Florida State, against Auburn. I even, went back and saw some of the game. I saw some of the game against Ohio State in the semifinal and the national championship game. I mean, he was absolute money. He was money. And he even made another guy, a corner, who will probably go in the first round, just look silly, and Marlon Humphrey. Mike Williams, he may not have all the speed in the world, but the guy is just going to be clutch. And another thing I like about him, he does have decent speed. He may not have great top-end speed, but he has very decent speed. He could be your go-to guy. If you need a first down on third down, he could be the guy. And in the red zone, he's money. And you notice how Marcus Mariota has yet to throw an interception in the red zone. Mike Williams can add to that touchdown total in the red zone, getting down there. He'll be absolute money right down there. Now, the cons for him, as I said before, maybe not great top-end speed as far as being able to completely blow by a corner and gain a bunch of separation. But one thing he makes up for that, he's able to flat out out-jump the corner at the highest point, and he'll win those 50-50 ball battles about 95% of the time. He's going to come down with the football over the corner. And so that's something that, he may not have the greatest speed in the world, but he can use some of the speed that he has. He had a play, I believe it was against Ohio State, came across on a slant, caught the ball, and he got it. he turned it into about a 30, 40-yard gain straight up the middle down the field on Ohio State. So he still can get it done.
So that was what I had to say about Mike Williams before he got drafted. I was definitely a fan of him. And I know somebody said, when was the last time we got a turnover? That is a very good question. I can't remember the last time we actually got a turnover in a game. That is a good question. I will definitely have to look that up and see when did we have a turnover. And I mean, that is a excellent question. And I can honestly say I don't remember. It's been some games. We didn't cause a turnover against Philly. We didn't cause a turnover against Jacksonville. We didn't cause a turnover against Cincinnati. We haven't had a turnover in quite some time. I'm trying to take a look. And like I said, I'm going to give my prediction in just a moment. But yeah, it's been a good minute. I want to say maybe the Kansas City game might be the last time we had a turnover. No, it's the Denver game. The Denver game was the last time we had a turnover. So it's been 5 games since our last turnover. That's not good. We played 4 games without a turnover. So that's not good. And that was against Denver. So now, and I see a lot of people having conversations with each other. And yeah, Derek Roberts has been a fan. I am going to defend him on that one. I will defend him on that. But the question is, moment of truth. Who do I think is going to win this game? Titans, Chargers. Who wins?
Now, one thing.
That's the question. And then I have to embarrass myself in just a moment. So I want to get a few predictions before I make mine. We got the greatest coach of our organization. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. Steve Claudio says, in reality, Chargers. We can't be mad at this team is not as good as long as telling the quarterback Vrabel's friends are OC and DC. I mean, I think Shane Bowen has done a good comeback job, and I think Vrabel thought Downing could do the same thing. Hasn't exactly worked. Titan South says Titan 23, Chargers 21. Keon says Titans, but I don't know how. Overdrive says Chargers. What's up, Pig Wickle? Let's see. Volcano says Chargers, I'm sorry, but we will destroy Houston. And I see where a lot of y'all are going. And there's a trip, quite a few of y'all are picking the Chargers. Very interesting. And I'm actually making a call to fulfill a bet that I'm about to fulfill. So, here's my moment of truth. I'm afraid the Titans are going to lose this game. I don't know how they're going to be able to keep up. I don't know how they're going to be able to keep up with the LA Chargers. The Chargers have too much firepower. And, you know, they have so many weapons. You got Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Carter's a deep threat, Josh Palmer, Austin Eckler out of the backfield. They got a lot of weapons offensively. I mean, Justin Herbert could easily throw for 400 yards. And not saying that we didn't try to stop them. I just don't know how we're going to be able to. AZ Mix says 27-13 Chargers. Hugo says Herbert's going to have a field day. We can't stop the pass and no pass rush. I mean, yeah, I don't have a good feeling about this game. I honest to God don't. So I think the Titans are going to fall. They're going to be 7-7, and unfortunately, the bleeding will continue. So before we get out of here, I'm going to do a shut your pie hole on myself. I made a bet with a friend on the Eagles game. And unfortunately, I lost the bet. So, I am about to humiliate myself in the worst possible way. So, I must sing the Eagle fight song. And I'm going to do this because I'm a man of my word. And I'm sending this message to my friend so he knows I did it. Here we go. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit them low, hit them high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. EAGLES, Eagles! That was obviously very, very painful. That was very, very painful. And Jimmy, thank you for the super chat. That was painful. That was painful to do. But I'm a man of my word. And I said I would do that. I can't believe I did that. It sucks. But I did it. Bet fulfilled. You will never hear me sing that wretched song ever again. I probably lost viewers because of that. Tide Overdrive says, truth, no. I'm like, look, I had to fulfill a bet. A bet's a bet. I lost. I'm a man of my word. So I had to do it. So I fulfilled my bet. I did my job. Jimmy, I hope you're happy, sir. Thank you for the super chat. I embarrassed myself in front of the world. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. I agree it is. Shoot. Y'all gonna have me mess up. Says Cool Truth, you're a man of your word. Look, I try my best to be. I can't with y'all. I hope so. I hope we get back on track. On that note, I think I'm going to get out of here, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in to the show. I'm your man, Blue Enforcer, a.k.a. The Truth. Again, make sure y'all hit that like button. I hope some of y'all don't unsubscribe because of that. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button as well. And again, make sure y'all follow the channel on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and everything. I thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all have yourselves a good night. And tighten up, because that's all we know how to do. Good night, y'all.